Number 10. Soul Chamber. First appearing in Mortal Kombat 3, the Soul Chamber is a location within Shao Kahn's fortress in Outworld. It contains an enormous tree with a monstrous face seemingly carved into it. Within that tree lies a swirl of tormented souls of slain combatants being watched by the Khan's shadow priests. The chamber looks all the more sinister with various other features, from the stalagmites that closely resemble sharp teeth to the other formations seemingly carved to look like monsters. The Soul Chamber was slightly reworked in Mortal Kombat 9, particularly the formation that houses the tormented souls. The tree is replaced with a statuesque rock formation in the form of a horned monster with tentacles attached. In the rebooted storyline, it was revealed that Ermac began his rejuvenation in this location. Number 9. Graveyard. Graveyards are already considered by many people to be creepy, especially being in one on a foggy, dark night. In Mortal Kombat 9, the graveyard is drastically reworked from being just a typical graveyard to something pretty eerie. It's worth noting how dreary everything here looks despite it taking place during the end of day rather than nighttime. The sky is coated in a bleak orange smoke coming from the fiery devastation occurring in the background. Tombstones and monuments are ever present, with some engraved with Latin phrases such as Omnia Mors Aequat, which means death equals all things, or death makes all equal, and Omnius vulnerant ultima necat, which means they all wound and the last one kills. The latter is a phrase that is known to be found on medieval clocks to remind people that their lives grow shorter with every second. The most standout added detail is the presence of the Soul Nado, which was opened up there by Quan Chi through a ritual involving a sacrifice of numerous human soldiers. The sorcerer did this to allow Shao Kahn to take all the souls on Earth. Many will remember that the Soul Nado in the graveyard had been closed when Nightwolf threw Noob Saibot into it. Number 8. Wastelands. The Wastelands of Outworld are eternally dominated by the darkness of night. There's the constant feeling of bloodlust and conflict due to the roadsides constantly serving as a battlefield. The Wastelands of Outworld first appeared in Mortal Kombat 2, but the Mortal Kombat 9 version is arguably the most horrifying. Raging fires engulf buildings in the background, while dark smoke further adds more to an area eternally smothered in darkness. The most morbid features of the wasteland are the mutilated corpses and severed limbs that coat the shore with blotches of blood. Some of the corpses are even hung on wooden stakes. Originally in the Mortal Kombat 2 incarnation, artist Tony Goski had a crucified Shao Kahn in the background of the Wastelands. This idea was scrapped due to concerns that the imagery would be seen as sacrilegious. Even without said imagery, the Wastelands look gloomy enough as it is. Number 7. Sea of Blood. The idea of a massive quantity of blood the size of a sea is disturbing enough. It becomes all the more horrifying the deeper you dive. One who decides to do so will be approaching infinite horror. This is due to the fact that the Sea of Blood is bottomless, and most who fall into it can never escape. In the Mortal Kombat 11 story, Raiden attached an anchor to the immortal Geras before dropping him into the sea. You would think that this would result in Geras being stuck in endless suffering, but some dialogue suggests he may have escaped.
You escaped the Sea of Blood.
I became food for a passing Leviathan.
That was the end of your luck.
The Sea of Blood also contains numerous corpses as well as bloody undead skeletons that would attack any living beings that dare to sail across it. Almost everything on the shore is blood-soaked from crimson waves splashing upon it, from a massive mutant fish to an old anchor. The Sea of Blood is one of few stages with a stage brutality. This involves a starfish which will take the place of the victim's head upon being decapitated. Number 6. The Deadpool. From massive amounts of blood to massive amounts of acid, the Deadpool is one of the most recognizable stages in the series. The stage is a chamber used for torture and sacrifice. Shang Tsung favored a method of torture involving binding a captive with chains, raising them, and then submerging them into the acid below. The deadly pool of acid is a massive collection of residue from Shang Tsung's flesh pit creations. When the stage returned in Deception, the straight walkway was replaced with a large square panel of concrete surrounded by the acid. Any combatant finding themselves on the edge of the panel could easily find themselves drowning and disintegrating in it. In Mortal Kombat 9, the Deadpool returned to its original form with the addition of executioners manually operating the chains. Bound and suspended prisoners would be submerged into the acid by them before being raised to decay. Number 5. Shinnok's Bone Temple. Debuting in Mortal Kombat 11, Shinnok's Bone Temple is located beneath the Netherrealm Castle. At the center of the room, Shinnok's severed head rests within an altar, seemingly having energy infused into it. The rest of the stage resembles a very sinister chapel. It is littered and decorated with many bones, similar to several real-life churches made of such remains, such as the Czech Republic's Sedlec ossuary. Dark, haunting churches are already pretty creepy, but the addition of a severed head with its eerie, energy-driven glow and decorative bones would definitely instill fear. Number 4. Goros Lair. One of the most recurring stages in the series, Goros Lair has become grittier with each appearance. The most haunting version of it is in Mortal Kombat 11. The lair is an immensely tenebrous cave consisting of cages, rocks, and bones scattered all around. The only light in there is a very dim one that enters from an opening above Goros' throne. Skeletons can also be seen shackled to the walls. What's most horrifying is the rotting corpse of Goro sitting upon his throne. Goros' lair also appears in the crypt. Upon first entering the lair, we are given a close-up of his corpse, and it's pretty terrifying. Even though he's clearly dead, such a corpse looks like it could possibly be reanimated at any time. It's not too far-fetched considering other jump scares in the crypt. The corpse of the Netherrealm Oni Moloch is also seen in the lair as well. Number 3. Lost Hive of the Kai-10. Also appearing in the crypt, the Lost Hive of the Kai-10 is the ultimate nightmare for those who fear creepy crawlers. The most notable figure is the giant, possibly deceased bug in the background. The rest of the hive is clearly slimy, with larvae and insect eggs all around. In the crypt, the Lost Hive was home to some incredibly large spiders. These spiders would give a half-second warning to its prey, as it would produce a reddish glow before setting them ablaze. The only known backstory information on this arena is that it's the ancestral home of Devora. Number 2. Hell. There's really no need for an introduction. Those who believe in an afterlife and fear eternal torture have more than likely heard of hell. First appearing in Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, Hell was referred to as Scorpion's Lair and Hades in the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis ports of the game, respectively. The stage is filled with boiling lava in which victims struggle to escape, massive pillars decorated with bones, and even corpses burning at stakes. Several incarnations of Hell include a massive brimstone cave with the entrance shaped like a monstrous demonic skull. The underworld's gate guardian Cerberus first appeared in the arena in Mortal Kombat 9. Hell is also known for its stage fatalities, from being uppercutted into the boiling lava to a much more brutal instance in which the losing fighter has their head forced, then stomped into the lava. Number 1. The Living Forest. The Living Forest is tied with Goros Lair for being the most recurring stage in the series. Debuting in Mortal Kombat 2, this stage is located in Outworld and stands out among the mostly barren realm as the area with the most plant life. The forest is said to have been haunted for centuries. The most notable and arguably creepiest feature of the Living Forest are the trees. They have menacing faces and will deliver groans and moans, adding more unease to an already ghostly arena. Earlier incarnations of the Living Forest are shrouded in darkness with nothing but more living trees for miles in the background. The Mortal Kombat 9 incarnation is much more detailed, but still eerie nonetheless. While still dark, the forest is more foggy. The living trees now have skull-esque faces while having corpses hanging from their branches. A stage fatality involves the losing combatant being eaten by the trees after being thrown to them. The lore states that any beings consumed by the trees permanently become a part of the forest. In the non-canon Mortal Kombat Malibu comics, the forest was initially a part of Edenia. Then it was called the Laughing Forest, and the trees were incredibly joyous. Regardless, the idea of giant trees with faces in a massive forest laughing loudly at you doesn't seem any less unnerving.